I'm Ling and I do a lot of art and photography. It's really windy outside at the moment, so I thought we could just spend a cozy day inside my home art studio. I have quite a lot of projects on at the moment and I'd love to share everything that I get to today in photography, drawing and painting. I made my first video a few weeks ago about turning this apartment into an art studio, and I've been using it every day since then. The only thing is that it's also our living room, so I cleared the whole area a few days ago and we hosted a lot of friends over the weekend. This morning I really want to tidy everything up from dinner and completely reset my studio. I think that art is not just about your output and what you make, it's really in everything. It's appreciating small things and sharing the way you see them. I notice it a lot in the way that people decorate and what a space feels like. I feel a lot lighter when our apartment isn't cluttered and I can find everything that I need for each thing that I'm making. On rare days like this, when I'm mostly at home, I also have very relaxed mornings. The best thing that I can do is to appreciate these everyday moments and give myself some time to plan. It's very rare for inspiration to come from sitting down and specifically trying to be creative. It's more common for ideas to come up when we have time to daydream, and that's usually while we're doing very routine or relaxed things in the background. And so on an ideal morning, this would be anything from stretching and doing yoga, making breakfast, journaling, and really slowly getting ready for the day. It has honestly always taken me a long time to properly wake up in the morning, and I'm really not great with routines where the first part of my day is just spent rushing. I don't always have whole days working at home like this, so whenever I do, I really don't take them for granted. This year I decided to get a planner to organize all of my photography and art projects. I normally actually do things very spontaneously, but ever since I started taking on more photography clients about 6 months ago, I've really had to start planning ahead with people booking shoots for much later in the year. And I do really like this planner from Appointed because it separates everything into priorities and tasks. I'm not always able to spend whole days on art or photography, so I really need to fit in my creative time where I can. And I think planning it this way has helped me to stop feeling like all of my projects are just piling up on a to-do list. And instead, I can try and break them down into smaller steps that I'm actually able to take each day. The first thing that I can do today is photograph my painting for someone who's interested in buying it. So I just photographed this painting that I did of wild irises and the moon, and I decided to call this piece YULI. It roughly translates into the energy that you have left over, and I hope it captures the inner energy that we have for creative pursuits. I'm not 100% sure if I'm ready to let go of the original just yet, and I definitely want it to be part of a bigger collection of homewares that I'm making with my friend Sarah. But at the same time, I was sharing a lot of the process on Instagram, and a few people reached out and said they would love to own the original artwork. One person who lives in Sydney has already come to look at it, and I think it's just so uplifting to know that anyone has connected with it enough to want it in their own home. So I thought now that it's finished, it would be a good idea to photograph all of the details and maybe start turning it into prints. This was actually the first painting that I've done as an adult, and I decided to film the whole process from start to finish, so I'll link that here in case you want to watch it. The next thing that I'm going to do is organize some of our photography projects. So for travel photography, I take everything with Jace on our trips, and I'd say most of the time we're really just shooting for our own experiences and memories. But every now and then we get to collaborate with brands who are interested in our photography while we travel, and sometimes we're able to license footage after we get home as well. So I saw a brief for a project that needs aerial photography around China, and they specifically want photos from a few places that we've been to around Yangshuo, Zhangjiajie and the Longji rice terraces. We were able to fly a drone in all of these areas, and Jace took so many beautiful aerial photos. So I'm going to look through our hard drives today and see if there's anything I can submit to this brief. It's probably a little bit boring just watching me going through files, so while I do that, I can take you to one of the most beautiful regions. These photos were taken in the hills of Longshan. The rice fields were first built in the Yuan dynasty 700 years ago, and they're still used today. We drove for a few hours out of KILN to get here just before the harvest and decided to stay the night. The morning was beyond our wildest dreams. Everything feels like it's on another scale here, 1,000 meters above sea level and surrounded by terraces. When we woke up, we could see exactly why they're called the dragon's backbone. So I've put together some photos and videos to send to the client, and we'll just have to see where it goes. It's a little bit hard to say whether they'll actually be used in this campaign because we weren't shooting for this particular brief when we took them. But sometimes we have been able to use past photos and videos we've taken for new campaigns, and it's been really exciting to collaborate on things that we actually couldn't have predicted when we were taking them. The next thing that I need to do today is find a videographer so that I can give a quote to a couple that's interested in wedding photography later in the year. So the events I'm planning photography for aren't for over 6 months, but unfortunately a few of the videographers I contacted are already booked out at that time. And I guess you can see why I need a planner so much this year, because this is the only kind of work that I do where I'm constantly thinking so far in advance. Luckily, I have met a lot of videographers recently who have been really great to work with, so I'm just going to keep calling around until I can find someone who's still available. And in the meantime, I also have a few other clients to get back to. So about a year ago, I started sharing some photography I'd taken of portraits in natural landscapes. Jace and I took these photos of our best friends Sue and Mitty during a sunset by the water, and when I shared them recently, someone in Singapore reached out and asked if we'd be interested in photographing their wedding. It's still very unconfirmed and a bit up in the air, but I'm honestly just so excited that they even thought of us to do that, and I'm really hoping there'll be a way for it to line up. So today I'm going to send them a new quote and also put together a gallery for them of all of our past work. Jace made lunch and I took my grandparents shopping. I have an office job alongside art and photography, and I can't tell you how much I enjoy days like this where I can spend as much time as I want with my grandparents. When I first moved into this apartment and set up an art studio, I always wanted to keep an artwork on the table that I could add to at any time, and doing that has actually been the best thing because it's very rare to have a full free day to spend on art, especially between work and everything else in life. So whenever I have a bit of time between deadlines or calls, I really like to do what I can on the drawing that's on the table. Today I'm adding some details to some photos that we took in the desert. This drawing is part of a huge collection that I'm making based on my own experiences under the sun, and I'm using photos that Jason and I have taken together. I had about an hour to draw and then had a call at around 5 to meet a couple that's interested in wedding photography later this year. It was really nice to chat to them and hear about the celebrations that they have planned. One of the events will be a tea ceremony with family, which I think will be so beautiful to capture. I took a lot of notes during the call, and I'll try to put everything into a quote for them later tonight. But first, it looks like it's going to be the most beautiful sunset, so I'm going to go for a walk. It's getting close to the end of summer, so I'm really making the most of the late days. I went for the longest walk and then posted a collaboration that we had on Instagram. We made 2 videos recently from our trip to Africa for one travel client, and it was such a nice project to work on. I also tested a new candle that we've been making, and then I got ready for a Chinese lesson. Our teacher lives in Hangzhou, which is actually where Jace grew up, and we have classes online a few times each week. It ended up being quite a full day, which is honestly very ideal for me, and I really like it when each week feels different. If you watch this, thank you so much for spending the day here too. It would be great if you could subscribe to this channel while I make more art, and in the meantime, I hope it's been a good place to unwind.